Hello, good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Siambo, and our top stories in the news tonight. Government challenged to set up a mining sector development fund to support local mining. Agriculture Minister MTOLO PHIRI reaffirms his commitment to persuading the millers on the MEALIE meal prices. Potato fields in CHIKANKATA district attacked by the potato blight disease. In international news, Nigeria's presidential candidates hold last rallies 1 week before presidential vote. And in sports news, tributes pour in for late Ghanaian footballer Christian ATSU.
Are you looking for a prime land where to build your dream house? There is a beautiful corner plot, 50 by 47 meters in State Road area. For viewing and purchasing of the same, call SGK Property Company on 0966 610755 or 0762 166018. Secure your future by settling in a nice and peaceful area.
Hello again, the news in detail. Chifundo Orphanage School Principal Ignatius Chileshe has lamented the indiscriminate disposal of waste by some community members in the school premises, which he says is posing a health risk to the children. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Chileshe explains that efforts have been made by the Lusaka City Council to clear the waste, but community members continue to dump the waste near the school premises. He has since called on the office of the area member of parliament to find a lasting solution to the problem, adding that if nothing is done, children will contract waterborne diseases. And Mr. Chileshe says vandalism of the school properties by community members has resulted in the school being in a deplorable state. More in this report.
Located in the heartland of Lusaka's Kanyama compound is Chifundo Orphanage School, which is currently offering schooling to 397 pupils. The pupils at the school are, however, at risk of contracting waterborne diseases as community members have continued with the habit of indiscriminately disposing of waste near the school premises. The school principal is concerned about the situation and has called for urgent interventions from the relevant authorities, including the area member of parliament, Monte Chinkuli.
It's affecting actually children here, and there's nothing that we can do because we have already approached the authorities, that's the government, to stop people from doing those things here. You see, I have taken the trouble of viewing the office around the school just to stop the smells from reaching the children in the classrooms.
Waste is not the only challenge that this orphanage school is faced with, as issues of vandalism of school properties by some community members have also resulted in the school being in a deplorable state.
We have a lot of challenges because of encroachments. You see, window panes have been broken, sheets, roofing sheets have been broken because of throwing stones. Toilets have been vandalized, and we have a lot of challenges actually around this school here. That is why you have seen some bricks here actually donated by Lusaka Seco 2, who are building the office for us. But of course, because of funds, they are getting some difficulties in raising funds, because of the cholera issue.
The school principal is now calling on well-wishers to support the school by donating various items ranging from money, books, desks, and cement to have a wall fence erected along the school as one way of preventing vandalism from community members.
We are earnestly appealing to donors to come forward and assist us. Children need toys, they need blankets, they need shoes, they need a lot of things. And if donors could come forward and actually make these fortunate children happy, they are future leaders of tomorrow.
And efforts to get a comment from the area member of parliament, Monte Chinkuli, proved futile as his phone went unanswered. For now, the welfare of these orphans and vulnerable children lies in the hands of well-wishers who will come to the aid of the school. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Potato plants of farmers in Upper Kalea ward of CHIKANKATA constituency in Southern Province have been attacked by the potato blight disease, which causes the plant to rot and die. Speaking to Camnet News, one of the affected farmers, Venta Malila, says while the disease can be prevented from further spreading to other plants through spraying, one has to travel as far as Lusaka to access the medicine, as it is not available in the constituency. The farmers state that spray for agricultural products should be made easily accessible and affordable, noting that the said spray is currently going at 480 kwacha per litre. More in this report.
The heavy downpour of rain that has been falling in some parts of the country has not only drowned the crops of farmers, but also caused an outbreak of a disease known as potato blight, which comes when potatoes are subjected to waterlogging, leading to them rotting and dying. The situation has affected farmers of Upper Kalea ward in CHIKANKATA constituency of Southern Province, forcing them to begin a premature harvest of their potatoes in fear of their plants rotting. The affected farmers say this is a huge loss for them, as they put in a lot of funds in production and will not be able to recover even their capital. Camnet News caught up with one of the affected potato farmers, Venta Malila, who states that most farmers are not able to afford spray to prevent the disease from spreading, stating that it is too costly and is not even available in the constituency. This is what we depend on for a living. We were expecting a good harvest to help us provide for our families. As a small-scale farmer, buying medicine for these plants is too expensive. We are currently buying a 1 litre of spray at 480 kwacha. How can I afford that as a small-scale farmer? Right now, we have been forced to start harvesting these potatoes before they get affected. We need access to spray for our plants. However, we can only access it from places like Lusaka, and it is too expensive. We are going to make a big loss this year. Even if I am harvesting the potatoes, they are too small and not yet ready. No one will be willing to buy these at a high price. Stakeholders in the agriculture sector have also been urging farmers to consider crop insurance so that they have a starting point when such incidents happen due to natural disasters. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, CHIKANKATA District.
Agriculture Minister Ruben MTOLO PHIRI says government is hoping that milling companies will be persuaded enough to bring down the milling meal prices to at least 150 kwacha. Addressing the media Sunday in the company of other ministers at the Ministry of Information and Media, Mr. PHIRI explains that Zambia has no mechanism for price control but depends on persuading various sectors, in this case the millers. He says government will not force millers to peg the price lower than expected because it understands they are in business and need to make a profit. More in this report.
Maize is not only one of Zambia's cash crops, but a staple that is found in every home. Its price stability is therefore important among the Zambian people. Of late, the high milling meal prices have sent stakeholders complaining and calling on government to look into the matter with the urgency it deserves. Speaking at a media briefing in Lusaka Sunday, Agriculture Minister MTOLO PHIRI says it's impossible for government to peg the milling meal prices at a strict price because Zambia is a free market economy. The minister is, however, hopeful that the millers will succumb to government's persuasion and peg the price to at least 150 kwacha for a 25 kilogram of milling meal.
We have no price controls in Zambia. What we are doing is to use persuasion to come to reasonable prices. I want to say that those who are buying maize from the agency are buying very, very fairly priced maize and would like this benefit to translate into low milling meal prices. FRA has kept the maize for a long time at very high cost of storage, very high cost of fumigation, very high cost of warehousing. There are a lot of costs that go into maize storage, but they have maintained the price at 200 kwacha a bag. With that price, why should millers make a super profit? We are allowing them to make profit. but they should not make super profits. Draw them as close as possible to 150. As Minister responsible for agriculture, I want them to get as close as they can to 150. It makes me unhappy when I see prices of mealie meal at 190, 200 plus.
In speaking at the same event in relation to the floods being experienced in most parts of the country with a specific focus to Lusaka, Deputy Secretary to the Cabinet says government is ready to deal with any eventualities that may come with floods. Meanwhile, Technology and Science Minister Felix Mtati also added his voice on the measures being put in place to dealing with the floods countrywide.
Starting with the technical level, where we get the necessary input, including the floods that are affecting the various parts of the country. This information is brought and analyzed by the technical committees, and recommendations are made by the committees to the committee of ministers chaired by the Vice President. So again, it demonstrates collective decision making of the government, that no one single minister is actually making those decisions regarding the flood. It's a collective decision-making process which has been demonstrated and is actually working effective. And specifically for Lusaka, an action plan has been defined on how we are going to deal with the floods in Lusaka and resources mobilized to address that.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
CHIKANKATA Town Council has commenced road works on the CHIKANKATA Kasamu Road, which is one of the major roads in the area connecting residents to CHIKANKATA Mission Hospital, among other key facilities. The road has been impassable for 2 weeks now due to the floods being experienced in the area due to heavy rains. Area Member of Parliament Jacqueline Sabao, who was inspecting the roadworks Sunday morning, says a total of 230,000 kwacha has been used to patch up parts of the road using the 2022 disaster management component under the Constituency Development Fund CDF. More in this report.
Most roads in Zambia's rural areas have become impassable due to floods, cutting off the only roads that people can use to access the few available basic facilities, such as schools and hospitals. Roadworks aimed at patching up the CHIKANKATA Kasamu Road of Southern Province, which is one of the main roads, have begun using the disaster management component of the 2022 Constituency Development Fund CDF. The current works being done will see the road being patched up until the end of the rain season, which will then see permanent works being undertaken. CHIKANKATA Member of Parliament Jacqueline Savao, who was at the site Sunday morning, says the road is critical as it leads to CHIKANKATA Mission Hospital and CHIKANKATA Mission Secondary School, among other facilities.
At the end of this road, there is a hospital, CHIKANKATA Mission Hospital, which is one of the big hospitals in this country. We have a Bao University. We also have CHIKANKATA Mission Secondary School. And this is an area where we have a lot of farmers. We all know that CHIKANKATA is second from Kalomo in the production of maize crop in this country. Hence, it's very important that this road is workable, because if the road is bad, our people will not have access to the market.
Meanwhile, United Party for National Development UPND CHIKANKATA Information and Publicity Secretary Fizwe Mainza has also spoken on the roadworks.
When it is raining, it's not possible that one can pass through. But now, with this patching, I think it's a good move to me. Let's just support it so that after rains, then the contractors will come and work on this road as per promise.
The works are being done at a total cost of 230,000 kwacha. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, CHIKANKATA District.
Chief Government Spokesperson Chushi Kasanda has dispelled assertions that President Hakainde Hichilema has been making decisions of national importance single-handedly without consulting. Ms. Kasanda, who is also Minister of Information and Media, says government has a well-laid-down decision-making procedure which the current administration has been following since it took over office. The minister says the stakeholders that are normally consulted include the civil society organizations, faith-based organizations, academia, civic and traditional leaders, business and technical experts, among others. She says Cabinet in 2022 alone held and convened a record 30 cabinet meetings, which shows how consultative the president has been.
This opportunity to dispel some falsehoods circulating on various media platforms that the president makes decisions of national importance single-handedly without consulting. In 2022 alone, the New Dawn administration covered a record of 30 cabinet meetings. This shows how consultative the president is. My conclusion, as can be noted in the outlined process above, wider stakeholder consultations are undertaken even before cabinet deliberations or any policy proposals before arriving at agreed decisions, and this is done as a collective manner and not at an individual level. As these matters are tabled in cabinet, decisions are made collectively after a free debate by all ministers.
Katombora constituency member of parliament Clement Andeleki has assured people of Muguni area in his constituency of an end to the trend of sharing drinking water with animals from streams due to lack of running water at their homes. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Andeleki says some residents of Katombora constituency have also been depending on shallow wells as their only source of water, hence putting themselves at risk of various health hazards. He notes that using the 2023 Constituency Development Fund CDF, tap water will be taken to the doorsteps of affected residents.
We are opening the water project in Mukuni, and all roads lead to Mukuni. As you are aware, the people are having to take dirty water from the rivers, from shallow wells and this and that. But starting the day after tomorrow, which will be Friday, we are going to launch tap water on the doorsteps of our people. This is one of the very serious milestones as pronounced by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, that water must be delivered in the doorsteps of our people, and that is a priority area in the developmental trajectory of the UPND. So we will be in Mukuni to try and launch the water project. This is just the beginning. 2-3 weeks time, we will be launching a hospital, a level 1 hospital at Nyawa. This will be the second bigger facility in terms of healthcare for our people. As you are aware, in Katombora constituency, when we took over government, not even a single mortuary.
Kankoyo Member of Parliament Hudson Mabeta says economically the United Party for National Development UPND has scored positively, and that this is evidenced through the stabilizing of the exchange rate. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Mabeta says his party took over office when the country was boiling, but that the UPND has managed to quench the heat by stabilizing the exchange rate and inflation rate. He, however, says the country still has a huge debt burden which is limiting investments in the country. The Kankoyo MP says once the debt restructuring process is concluded, more resources currently being held up will be released for productive activities in the country. Here's a report.
The impact of load shedding on small businesses cannot be overlooked, as majority of Zambian people depend on small businesses for survival, which also depend on electricity. Kankoyo, Member of Parliament on the Copper Belt, Hudson Mabeta, says many small businesses in his constituency were almost closing due to load shedding, and has since praised the United Party for National Development UPND-led administration for quickly intervening in the power deficit challenges, which has resulted in the end to load shedding. He says such a move shows how the UPND-led administration places great importance in supporting small businesses in the country.
However, the government having responded quickly to reduce shedding from 12 to 6 to stagger it from 12 to 8 and completely clear it within a short period of 50 days, I think that was recommendable, which was so difficult in the past. We could only, shedding could go as far as 3 years without being resolved. So resolution by the government is something commendable, They have been affected for 50 days, but there is room for recovery.
And when asked how he would rate the performance of the UPND since it took over office in August of 2021, Mr. Mabeta says his party has scored tremendously and is evidenced through the stabilizing of the local currency and the reduction in the country's inflation rate.
Economically, it's been stable, but took over an economy which was boiling. The government what has done much now is to quench the heat which was in the economy by stabilizing the exchange rate, stabilizing the inflation rate. Obviously, that has reduced the money supply in the economy. Hence, a lot of people are complaining that there is no money in circulation. So it is stable, although we still have this debt crisis which hasn't been resolved. But I've seen an increase in the interaction between the government and China, who are their major lenders. Yesterday, I was very happy to see the Chinese ambassador accompanying the president to commission that project for CEC. That's showing that Zambia's relationship with China is improving.
For now, many Zambian people are concerned on the high cost of living, which has continued to affect many lives, and look forward to seeing government add to its cause by lowering the high cost of living. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Economist Trevor Hambai has challenged the current administration to set up a mining sector development fund which should support the exploration of mining by the local people. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Hambai says the impact of tax holidays given to the mining sector by the current administration has contributed less to the growth of the sector. He says the setting up of a mining fund will give an opportunity for the local people to start owning land. He says provided the mining sector and other economic sectors are foreign dominated, the Kwacha will continue to be under pressure because most resources are being externalized.
What we have seen in the mining sector obviously is that we have not seen the expected growth in the 3,000 metric tons that were projected. And I think it is important that in terms of having to drive these 3,000 metric tons, this is driven by ownership of mines by Zambians. And this is a strategy that we must be looking at, that in the next 10 to 15 years, the mining sector will be owned 50% by Zambians. This would require us having to put together a mining sector development fund where they can all tap into that. It has got concessional funds to be able to support the implementation or exploration of the mining areas that they are looking at that are Zambian. And this is what is going to really mitigate the issue where we are not sufficiently gaining as a country from the mining sector. And it is also fundamentally a very important principle in having to drive economic growth in the country. That this economic growth must be driven by Zambians, by a local private sector. And it starts with the mining sector.
Zambians for Unity, Peace and Development is concerned with the continued depreciation of the Kwacha against major currencies. ZUPID President Ronnie Jerry has noted that Zambia, being an importing nation, having a weak currency will further increase the cost of living for the majority Zambians. Mr. Jerry has also noted that the upward adjustment of fuel prices on the international market has also accelerated Zambia's import-export crisis. Meanwhile, Mr. Jerry has praised government over the revision of the monetary policy.
The government, through the Bank of Zambia, recently announced the upward adjustments of interest rates from 9% to 9.25% with regards to inflation forecasts and identified risks, including those associated with financial stability and debt restructuring. They've also increased the statutory reserves by about 2.5%. The development is highly appreciated as it is a very good measure to address the crisis in the short term. But government should also look at what it should do in the long term. We are privy to the fact that investing in agriculture and the manufacturing sector is on government's priority list. But we still insist that for now, and the near future, government should prioritize unlocking the mining sector, because at the moment, that is what is going to stabilize our economy.
This is Camnet Television News. We take our first commercial break. We'll be back with more news.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Are you looking for a prime land where to build your dream house? There is a beautiful corner plot, 50 by 47 meters in State Road area. For viewing and purchasing of the same, call SGK Property Company on 0966 610755 or 0762 166018. Secure your future by settling in a nice and peaceful area.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. Zambia Information and Communications Technology Authority ZICTA Corporate Communications Manager Hanford Chaba says traditional leaders in areas without communication connectivity should notify the authority to ensure that existing communication gaps are bridged. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Chaba says Zambia currently has 70% geographical coverage and is targeting the year 2025 for 100% coverage. Some parts of the country in far-flung areas still have no access to communication networks, while others have very poor connectivity. The ZICTA Corporate Communications Manager states that these are issues currently being looked into to make sure that Zambians have access to high-standard connectivity.
So communication towers become very key because they are an enabler of communication. And as a regulator, our goal is to ensure that at least we move from where we are, move upwards and reach a level where the population is covered. Suffice to mention that at the moment, when you look at coverage in terms of communication towers, we measure that in two perspectives. One, we look at the geographical coverage, as in the area, how big is the area that is covered with network connectivity, and we also look at population coverage, as in how many people actually are covered. Okay, so insofar as the geographical coverage is concerned, we are currently sitting at 70% of the entire country, which is actually covered by network connectivity. And our goal is to ensure that at least come a few years from now, we are at a stable condition where we can safely say wherever you go there's network. Of course, there are areas like game reserves where you don't see the need why you should go there and put a communication tower, for example.
Northwestern Province Permanent Secretary Colonel Gladstone Katambi says the government has itemized environmental sustainability as one of the key development outcomes which can be achieved through enhanced natural resource management and protection. Colonel Katambi has urged the people of the province to refrain from trees alone, but to take this opportunity within the rainy season and plant trees at their homesteads, schools, churches, place of work, and other conducive space where they can plant a tree. The permanent secretary was speaking during a planting tree ceremony in Kiafukuma community of Solwezi district under the theme Plant a Tree and Save the Earth. Details in this report.
Has joined the rest of the nation in the exercise of planting trees. This is in a quest to respond to climate change and the rampant cutting down of trees in the rural parts of the province, which is mostly done for charcoal business. Northwestern Provincial Permanent Secretary Keno Gladson Katambi has urged the people in Solwezi district to make an effort in preserving the forest for their future generations.
Mambo kuno kumishi tukomena mubiti ke mutiro kids yes but tutendeke kubweja mo ngewa tema kids not kutema tukitemeteme ekati but lero akwe kafako mwanza biti byonse so kyawa matu kupitira byo baba bakuntu bamishi mutendeke nebana mutendebe kubana.
The forestry department in the province has some challenges.
One of the challenges we have in the province is illegitimate cutting of trees, particularly for charcoal and also for timber. So let us conserve our forest in order to protect them for sustainable use and also for the benefit of present and also for future generations.
Kansanshi Foundation is supporting the government in the exercise.
There's everything positive about planting trees. And as Kansanshi, we are proud cooperating partners with the provincial leadership, forestry department.
The sub-chief of Chief Kapijimpanga of the county-speaking people of Solwezi district has urged his community to comply with government regulations and avoid cutting down trees. Chapunga Tembo Manengu reporting for NICE in Solwezi district.
Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Development, Elias Mubanga, is happy to partner with the government of Finland through the Accelerated Growth for Small and Medium Enterprises, AGS, which has empowered farmers and small and medium enterprises in Kalumbila district of Northwestern Province. Speaking during a handover ceremony held at CHIKANKATA school grounds, Mr. Mubanga says he is happy that the New Dawn government has managed to form partnerships and joint ventures that result in tangible empowerment such as the one being witnessed. The minister further said the initiative is not only timely but a great opportunity for SMEs to access the much-needed productive assets which will help boost their businesses and increase agricultural productivity. Meanwhile, Chief Technical Advisor and Team Leader for Accelerated Growth for Small and Medium Enterprises, AGS, Gareth Evans, has said that the program has empowered 14 businesses who have received productive assets worth over 8 million kwacha.
The Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises' mission is to promote the growth and development of the micro, small and medium enterprises, including cooperatives. To achieve this mission, the ministry has formed partnerships and joint ventures which are helping to empower its SMEs. The minister is happy that the partnership has yielded positive results.
Government, the New Dawn government, is extremely delighted, and I am so pleased as minister in charge and responsible for supporting small and medium businesses in the country. I'm here to support it, and I will be there to support small and medium businesses wherever things like this are happening. Whether it will be in Chavuma, I will get there. And we're grateful that there is this partnership between the Republic of Zambia and the government of Finland.
The program has empowered 14 beneficiaries at a cost of 8 million kwacha.
So as a program, this 1.5 million euros has been available to businesses that have participated in accelerators that people like Sylvia have been leading. I'm pleased that in this area we have 14 businesses that have received assets valued at around 8.6 million kwacha. 420,000 euros roughly. So as a program and as the ministry and as Finland investing into this community around 8.6 million kwacha, which I think is fantastic.
And one of the beneficiaries of the assets, Janet Masoji, thanks government for choosing to empower women.
Tujimo 5 as a group twatambula tractor emwane twatambula ne mupampo pamuntu payanje bati tractor bonse emwane nabye byayana kwitusundura kufuma kukujimira bacheche na kujimira pakatampe omwane twasanta pakafulumende wetu wa UPND mambo pakwitu languluka especially ateba bainetu mambo kekintu kyapelane bainetu kwitumpa mwiye business emwane twibasanchira ba president wetu ne government mambo bena kwitutanda ikata bainetu.
Among the productive assets that were handed over were tractors, irrigation equipment, refrigerated trucks, and plows. And beneficiaries of these equipments were women, the youth, drawn from Copperbelt and northwestern provinces. Reporting for NAIS, I'm Sophia Msonda.
This is Camnet Television Main News. We'll take our second and final break. Join us for more news after the break.
Living in a wonderful country full of opportunities for investment in property. Make sure your investment is guaranteed. Are you in the process of buying or selling land or properties? Don't waste your time and money. Contact SGK Property Company on 0966 61 07 55 or 0762 16 6018. SGK, a company that will conduct due diligence for you before you purchase any property. Go for a tried and tested, genuine company in Zambia. SGK Property Consultants.
Welcome back. And now in international news, the front runners in Nigeria's presidential race hit the campaign trail on Saturday in a major push to convince voters a week before the polls. More than 90 million people are registered to vote in Nigeria, where President Muhammadu Buhari is stepping down after his 2 terms allowed by the Constitution. Waving from the top of an open-air double-decker bus, the ruling party's candidate Bola Tinubu of the All Progressive Congress APC paraded through the streets of Maiduguri in northeast Borno State. Several hundred supporters ran alongside the convoy as they made their way to El Kanemi Sports Center, where more people with flags and banners were gathered to hear the candidates speak. A political veteran and former governor of Lagos, Tinubu is expected to stage a final rally in his hometown on Tuesday. In nearby Adamawa State, the main opposition candidate, Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, also made his entrance aboard a double-decker bus into Mahmoud Ribadu Square in the city of Yola. For more in international news, here is a roundup.
The front runners in Nigeria's presidential race hit the campaign trail on Saturday in a major push to convince voters a week before the polls. The ruling party's candidate, APC's Bola Ahmed Tinubu, took his campaign trail to the streets of Maiduguri in northeast Borno State.
We have survived deprivation, we have survived homelessness. Some people get that of we will take care of all of you.
But just as this was happening, Nigeria's former vice president and flag bearer of the main opposition, Atiku Abubakar, arrived in Yola in the northwest, where his supporters had packed the Mahmoud Ribadu Stadium waving party flags.
Atiku is well prepared. He has the experience. He has been there in the Asorok for 8 years, and we believe when he comes in 29th May, he will only set the ball rolling. He is well prepared, and the people of Adamawa State are ever ready to ensure that our own son, emerge the winner.
In the country's capital, Abuja, it was a different feeling with several hundred Peter Obi supporters wearing colorful attire, blowing vuvuzela horns and chanting. Obi from the Labour Party is one candidate that has broken out unusually to become very popular amongst the youth.
Let this day be marked by every Nigerian out there that today the people of Nigeria have spoken and are speaking loudly all across the Federation. And we are saying that we're taking our country back. Power belongs to the people, and the people have spoken. And they are saying power must return to its rightful owners. And that is the people.
More than 90 million people are registered to vote in Nigeria on Saturday, February 25, where President Muhammadu Buhari is stepping down after his 2 terms allowed by the Constitution. African leaders met Saturday to discuss a slew of challenges facing the continent as UN Chief Antonio Guterres urged them to do more to bring peace to the conflict-hit regions. Most of the sessions have been held behind closed doors at the AU headquarters in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa. There are more than 30 presidents and prime ministers in attendance. I have made clear the issue of sanctions imposed on member states following unconstitutional changes of government. Obviously, these sanctions do not seem to produce the desired result. On the contrary. Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, host of the summit, lauded the bloc for its role mediating the peace deal between his government and the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF.
Of Senegal and chairperson of the African Union.
When I stood before you last year on this same occasion, Ethiopia was just coming out of a costly conflict. This time, I am here to celebrate the signing on November 2nd, 2022 of the Pretoria Peace Accord between the Ethiopian government and the TPLF, which has led to the silencing of the guns.
The summit also aims to accelerate implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement launched in 2020. The African leaders are also expected to discuss the food crisis rocking the continent, hit hard by the worst drought in 4 decades.
It's now time for sports news. In our sports news tonight, young players and amateur football clubs in Ghana's capital, Accra, are reacting after former Ghana international Christian ATSU was found dead almost 2 weeks after a devastating earthquake in Turkey. ATSU's manager in Turkey, Murat Uzmenet, told DHA news agency on Saturday that his body had been found under the rubble of luxury flats that crumbled in the Turkish southern province of Hatay. There were initial reports that the former Chelsea and Newcastle player had been rescued a day after the quake, but these turned out to be false. Ghana said it was working with the Turkish government to organize the transport of the body back to ATSU's home country for burial. Midfielder ATSU scored the last of his 33 career goals for Hatayspor in Turkey's Super League on February 5, hours before the quake struck. That sporting story brings us to the end of our news tonight. But before we go, the headlines once again. Government challenged to set up a mining sector development fund to support local mining. Agriculture Minister Ruben MTOLO PHIRI reaffirms his commitment to persuading the millers on the mielie meal prices. Potato fields in CHIKANKATA district attacked by the potato blight disease. In international news, Nigeria's presidential candidates hold last rallies 1 week before presidential vote. And in sports news, tributes pour in for late Ghanaian footballer Christian ATSU. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from Proverbs 14 verse 21. He who despises his neighbor sins, but blessed is he who is kind to the needy. Thank you once again for watching Camnet Television Main News. I'm Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.